Hello, 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 and welcome back to History Buffs or Bluffs. This is episode 2. We are your hosts. My name is Kyle.
And I'm Sydney.
For those who missed episode 1, we wanted to say again that we are married, and I am a writer.
And I love to read.
I'm also a history buff.
And I am not.
Our podcast is a story-driven topic on an event that may
or may not
have happened in history. I'm going to go through it, laying out every detail I can find or think of, and at the end of the episode, I'm going to give Sid a chance to be a history buff or call my bluff.
And we want everyone to play along with us. While you're listening, refrain from Googling anything. Try to see if you can tell if my husband is lying or not.
I never lie. I didn't lie for our first episode.
But will you lie this time? Wait, what if people are listening to this one first? That's a spoiler.
Oh. Well, that's their fault. I wanted to ask you about our first episode. Have you Googled anything about the dancing plague since we recorded?
No. When do you think I would have the time between working a full-time job, running my own photography business, having 2 children, working out, trying to cook, breastfeeding, pumping, and now starting a podcast? When?
Yeah, we didn't mention that in the first one. Sydney has her own photography business.
Instagram handle, SydneyJoe.photography.
She's very talented.
I'm also very new, so if you want to give me a follow, would appreciate it. And if you want to book me for your wedding this summer, I would appreciate
it. We both would. Well, yeah, I just didn't know if you did. I was curious to see if it kept you up at night with my sultry voice.
I'm going to be honest with you. After that episode ended, I didn't think about it.
That's not what I want to hear. I hope people don't think that about us. And I hope I didn't sound too nasally for our listeners. I feel like my voice is not meant to be listened to for long periods of time like this.
Whatever. I feel like everybody hates their voice when they listen back.
Yeah, maybe so.
You have a nice voice.
Oh, thanks.
I love it. I love everything about you.
Okay. Buttering me up.
So, are we ready to dive into our topic?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Sid. And those listening, get comfortable. Today, I decided we'd go through the life and fall of the gallant King Heinrich Beorn.
Bum, bum, bum.
We're going back to the medieval period.
Again. Will there be some dancers?
We'll see. Maybe there's some dancing in this one. This specific period is known as the High Middle Ages or High Medieval Period.
Your voice just...
I heard it. Okay, feel better. This specific period is known as the High Middle Ages or High Medieval Period. It was from roughly 1000 to 1300 AD. Basically the high point of the medieval times. Population was rapidly increasing. There was a lot of social and political changes, as well as many inventions that brought about change for the masses, not just the elite. Some of those things were like mechanical clocks, eyeglasses, advancements in water and windmills, stuff like that. After this point, you reach the late Middle Ages, 1300 onward, which brought about a lot of famine, plagues, social unrest, warfare, and dancing. But this is the good life for many. Well, for many of the elite, at least.
Uh-oh.
This particular event begins, as many things do in this life, with an illustrious affair. Heinrich Beorn was born in 1098 to Gallant Beorn, King of Hungary.
Koloman?
Koloman.
It's a weird name.
You didn't
It
even
almost
hear.
sounds a little Made up.
Oh, maybe so. You didn't even hear his nickname though.
What?
He is known as Coloman the Learned, or like lover of books, a book lover. Heinrich's mother was Felicia of Sicily.
Felicia?
Felicia.
Hi, Felicia.
Felicia of Sicily, who was married to Coloman the year prior. Though it's only speculated, many believe Heinrich to be the bastard child of Henry IV in the neighboring kingdom of the Holy Roman Empire. So it's right next to where the dancing plague was going on.
In France.
Modern day Austria. The Holy Roman Empire was very big, covered a lot of ground.
Okay.
But this is in Hungary, remember?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I'm kind of hungry.
That was good. So Coloman's other children looked nothing like Heinrich. In fact, Heinrich looked nothing like Coloman. Coloman had blonde hair, fair skin, he had shorter stature. Henry IV had brown hair, he was tall, strong, and as Heinrich grew, he had a lot of characteristics similar to Henry IV. Solomon's other children were named Sophia and Stephen II.
Why is it second?
I was waiting for that.
Trying to trick me because you made this up.
So Stephen I was the first crowned ruler of Hungary. He was regarded as a saint to the country. So being named Stephen would be a great honor. And Stephen II was, I believe Stephen I was around 1000, right at the start of the High Medieval period. And this is 1098. So Stephen II came almost 100 years after. Now Felicia was insistent that their firstborn be named Heinrich. Can you guess what Henry was short for?
Heinrich.
Good guess. Now Koloman ruled until his death in 1116, and Heinrich took over since he was the eldest. However, this was a bit of a scandal for the time because Heinrich had been kept away from the public for most of his adolescence. The reasoning that was given was that he was training for the throne because of Koloman's poor health in the last decade of his life. But scholars collectively agree that this was untrue.
Just like this story.
They believe he was kept away from the public because he was a bastard. It was considered obscene at the time to have a child out of wedlock. Even worse, this was not even Coloman's bastard, but the bastard son of Henry IV, or so they say. No one knows why Coloman kept him. Some believe Felicia, his mother, convinced Coloman to, in exchange for another son.
Whoa.
The bastard theory would also explain why Stephen II, not his eldest son, was given the more important name for the Hungarian culture. Now, Stephen II was initially going to be the heir of the throne, but he was too young at the time of Coloman's death. Since he was too young, as per their custom, Coloman's brother Almus,
Almost?
I almost had that right.
Boo.
Almus would have been the one to take the throne. But Felicia did not want that. Their advisors didn't want that. And since Heinrich was 18 at the time, he was plenty old enough to take over without there being political unrest or an overthrow. So they all thought it prudent to make Heinrich the king. Now, some historians theorize that Felicia and Heinrich poisoned Coloman in order for Heinrich to take the throne. It wasn't uncommon for sons, especially bastard sons, to usurp the throne from their fathers. And it would also explain the declining health from Coloman in his final 10 years.
You know, when you said his health was declining, I immediately thought he was poisoned. But I thought it was by Felicia.
Bye, Felicia. As I said, Heinrich Beorn took the throne in 1116, swearing an oath to God and to the Church to respect and uphold the people's rights. He prostrated himself before the altar, rising slightly faster than his father and the kings before him, who remained in the submissive pose until the litany of the saints was completed. He met his mother's gaze, smiling at her alone, as if they shared a secret none in the room were privy to.
Mm.
If anyone knew what he was capable of, then he never would have been allowed in the church for the coronation. Now, I did call him the Gallant King Beorn But at his coronation, his title was written as simply King Heinrich. It was what he did under this first title that demanded the change in persona. But before then, he was an unmistakably ruthless ruler. He not only led with an iron fist, but he seemed to partake in the cruelest forms of punishment for his political rivals.
Like what?
I'm getting there.
Do I even want to know?
You might not. You could plug your ears if you need to.
Defeat the whole purpose of this.
He was responsible for dozens of murders throughout his time as king. The name change came from his advisors, spread through the villagers and peasants in a hope to make it seem like he was a kind and generous leader. He even staged events to portray himself as the gallant ruler he wanted people to believe. But this was years to come. After he was sworn in as king, his first duty was to elect a queen.
Ooh, am I your queen?
You are. But tell me, Sydney, Heinrich was a good-looking young man, tall and strong, handsome. He'd have no problem choosing a bride. Can you tell me who he chose as his queen?
Queen. I don't know. Victoria. Princess Diana.
No, it was his mother.
Ew. It's disgusting. Ew.
It surprised everyone, as even back then, direct incest was extremely taboo. There were some forms of incest, usually cousins that were often married for political or economic gain, but parent-child incest was almost never allowed or even seen.
Oh yeah, that's nasty.
Whatever the reason, whether it was political, economic, or that, Felicia remained queen and married her son, Heinrich Beorn.
Ew.
It's unclear it's unclear if they planned for children. I'll spoil it for you. Heinrich had no heirs to the throne.
Okay.
My guess, and most historians agree, is that it was political. Most believe Felicia and Heinrich colluded to remove Koloman, take the throne, and rule together. The next thing a young, powerful ruler would do after becoming king is throw a party, and that's exactly what Heinrich did. King Heinrich invited noblemen throughout his kingdom to his castle. Barons, county governors, magnates, which were the highest ranking elites of the time, reps of the monarch, commanders of the army, anyone he thought had influence or some power. At the time, the king had power to replace any and all positions that he saw fit. Some believe that was the reason for this party. Maybe Heinrich wanted to convince them to submit to his rule. Maybe he wanted a change. Whatever the reason, his course of action was decisive and frightening. The party lasted days, spending a modern-day equivalent of $300,000 on food, drink, and entertainment.
Sheesh.
However, the party, which would later be known as Kaja Parsha, or the Party of the Scythe, came to a horrible and bloody end. The noblemen and their families were celebrating the new king, carefree, joyful, careless.
Our baby's crying.
I hear that.
We should take a break.
We'll take a break. Okay, we're back. After one kid went back to sleep, the second one woke up.
That is definitely a disadvantage of having their rooms right next to each other.
Yeah, we really didn't think that through. But we did really have another option. Anyways, let's get back into it. Where we left off. The noblemen and their families were celebrating the new king. Carefree, joyful, careless.
Oh no.
With-
Oh no.
With a simple wave of his hand, Heinrich ordered his guards to descend on the unsuspecting partygoers. They drew their weapons and spared no one.
Why?
No one knows. In mere moments, Heinrich ordered the deaths of 21 barons, governors, magnates, and all of their families. It's estimated 3 times that number perished that night. Heinrich didn't stop there, however. He ordered their bodies be bound and thrown over the castle walls.
My goodness. What's the matter with this guy?
For weeks, bodies hung over the sides, swaying, scraping a bloody smear.
No, I don't score well.
Scraping a bloody smear against the stones. I gotta get through it. Now, Sydney, imagine for a moment.
No, I don't want to.
Just imagine. Just close your
I
eyes.
don't like it.
You're a simple commoner, opening the door to your pit house.
No, trauma. That's traumatic.
Ready to dig. Ready to dig or barter or beg for the day, just to get food on the table for the night. Your door faces the castle of your new king. You heard the party that had been taking place for the last few days and nights. The nobility never went to bed hungry, but you bury that fury that wants to explode out because you have work to do. You have a family to feed. You begin to turn away, but the banners swaying along the castle walls stop you. You take a closer look. They aren't banners, though there is fabric clutching the stiff red forms that bounced and swung and cracked
Stop.
against the stone walls.
We're doing this right before bed. You are going to give me nightmares.
Dozens of bodies, men, women, and children, swaying for weeks before decomposition brought them down.
If you made this up, I'm going to be so mad at you.
Then you were the one who had to dig the graves. The smell would last for weeks, even after the bodies were buried. The commoners just got a gut punch realization of who their new king was. Mere days in, and King Heinrich's image was already tainted.
Well, yeah, why would he think that was a good idea?
The power move.
How?
Get rid of anyone who's going to challenge him or not listen to him.
Sounds
Not submit to his authority. Common folk whispered of his cruelty, but no one would challenge one of the new noblemen or soldiers that patrolled the streets. They couldn't. But Heinrich only escalated from there. His siblings, Sophia and Stephen II, were banished from Hungary, forced to live with Koloman's brother, Almus. To prevent an overthrow of Heinrich's new rule, Almus had been sent to the Kingdom of Croatia. Hungary and Croatia had a union at the time, and he was sent as an ambassador of sorts. So Sophia and Stephen were sent there. Almost weekly, King Heinrich would send invites to people to attend parties at his castle. These weren't only the elites that he was inviting. Regular citizens, think middle class for the time, were often invited as well, but never peasants. King Heinrich often and vocally ridiculed them. At these parties, he'd often single someone out. He'd ask them to do something embarrassing or cruel. Sometimes he just straight up tortured them.
Oh my gosh, what a psycho.
Examples scholars wrote of were of people being asked to balance something in their hands, then he would have others throw things at them. There are reports of people kneeling on broken glass, and there were even incidents of Heinrich taking a guard's crossbow and shooting someone who he deemed offended him. There were almost always a death or two at these parties.
That's really sad. Why would anyone keep attending?
Maybe they had no other option. They had no choice to say no. Now, King Heinrich wanted his dynasty to be known as a powerful kingdom. So he decided to go to war.
For what reason?
Power.
Goodness.
Control.
He already has control and power.
Yeah, but it spreads. You spread it to another land. And he chose Bosnia, which at the time was in between rulers. He believed it would be an easy win, something he could use to brag about. Bosnia was passed back and forth between the Serbian and Byzantine control, which meant it was a brutal back and forth, with battle after battle leaving little change. Heinrich chose to send Hungarian soldiers into this tug-of-war for the territory, sending waves of soldiers to their deaths while winning land and giving it back when one of the other armies counterattacked. This went on for years, and since his armies were being slaughtered, conscription began. This, as it often did, started with the commoners. Citizens began protesting vocally, yelling at soldiers, often preventing them from gathering young men to fight. This would then be met by the king's guard descending on the townsfolk, most likely the same men who struck the nobleman at the start of his reign. They slaughtered those who protested. Whole villages were killed, burned at the king's orders. As you may guess, this did nothing for his reputation or his army.
How did he even have a reputation still at this point? But okay.
Well, King Heinrich's advisors brought this to his attention.
Where were his advisors before? Hey, maybe don't murder an entire party of yours. That would be cool.
Oh, maybe they didn't want to be murdered either.
Maybe.
Or maybe they replaced the ones who were murdered.
Maybe.
But Heinrich ordered them to begin a campaign to win over the remaining villages within his rule. He probably believed good publicity would help not only his reputation, but also his war efforts. At the moment, he was reviled in his kingdom and mocked in his army. His title of King Heinrich was stained, ruined. He needed a new title, one the foolish commoners could fall for. So the advisors began the campaign of renaming him the Gallant King Beorn. Gallant King Beorn would address his people. He'd smile, kiss babies, shake hands with local towns.
PSA, never kiss a baby who is not yours.
Well, you still wouldn't touch peasants. This seemed to work for some time, but the whispers of the atrocities that he had done were still being spread. Folks in all the villages caught wind of them. The campaign proved fruitless. The Gallant King Beorn was now a mocking title, one the commoners used to rally the ordinary, the powerless together. See, even though they were so lowly, so poor, they were still mighty. They were powerful when they were together, and a revolt was beginning to spread throughout the villages of Heinrich's rule. Something Heinrich didn't know was that at that time there was also a revolt happening within the ranks of his army. The Hungarian soldiers and their commanders alike were tired of the pointless war. They banded together under the leadership of a returning figure, someone familiar, a face they once knew, and a name that rang true for their history.
Henry. Or did he die? Almost. Solomon. Wait, he died.
Stephen II.
Oh, good old Steve is back. Oh, he was banished to another country.
Yeah, but he's back.
Mm.
Because Heinrich's brother had heard of the atrocities that he had been committing. He trained under his uncle Almus, and after years he was now old enough to take the throne, to return the people of Hungary to the life that they had prior to Heinrich's reign, to rule in the way his father had. Heinrich began to fear the army had turned on him. The uprisings in the villages had stopped being squashed, and his reports from the war effort stopped arriving. Heinrich knew something was afoot, but as long as he was in his castle, he was protected. But what he didn't know was Stephen had more help. He had an army, but he also had someone on the inside of Heinrich's castle to tip it in his favor. And it just so happened that the one who helped Heinrich claim the throne was the same one who would help remove him from it. Felicia, his mother-wife, met in secret with his daughter Sophia when she was visiting her family in Sicily. Sophia explained what her brother and Uncle Almus were planning. Maybe Felicia had a change of heart. Maybe she never knew how cruel her son would be.
I don't trust her.
Regardless, she chose to help them.
We'll see about that.
Felicia was queen, and she had free reign about the castle, even while Heinrich was looking over his shoulder and sleeping with one eye open. She told Sophia to report back to Stephen of a low point in the outer castle wall. It was also in a location that soldiers tended to ignore because a rival army would never see it. So, in the dead of night, Stephen II led his brother's army against his late father's castle. They moved quietly, quickly scaling the low wall, spreading through the castle, dispatching of guards and servants alike. Maybe Heinrich heard the end of his rule stomping down the castle halls. We're not sure if he and Stephen spoke. All we know is that the gallant King Heinrich Beorn ended his time as the King of Hungary the way he started it. He was tied to a rope and hung outside the castle walls.
Whoa, that is so metal.
We're not sure what was driving Heinrich's decisions. Was he seeking to destroy the very kingdom that his father hid away from him? Did he have something loose in his head? Something that
Behave that way.
maybe something that physicians of the time wouldn't be able to treat or even know about. Or was he pushed farther and farther by his mother Felicia? And did she just pick the right moment to jump ship? Or was all of this fake? It's time to decide, Sydney. Was this a history buff or bluff?
It was very convincing. But I feel like people's names back then weren't Steven. It's such like a basic white guy name.
You're gonna say it's a bluff. You're gonna say it's a bluff off of Stephen
What? Is there a saint called Steven? I feel like they were all
in
like
Hungary.
very like
Maybe it was Stefan. Maybe I was pronouncing it wrong.
yeah, maybe. Hmm. Oh, I don't know. This is so hard. I think it was true.
Final answer?
Yeah.
I made it up.
I was gonna say that, but it was so detailed and so convincing, so good.
Thank you.
Dang it. I am 1-1.
I was really worried. I thought you were gonna.
I was gonna say it was false. I should have gone with my gut.
It wasn't because of Stephen.
Wait, can we re-record that part?
No.
What did you think I was gonna guess?
Well, you kept hinting that it was fake, and the entire time you were saying this is a lie.
I
You're
know.
lying. So I was sure that you were going to guess bluff.
I was going to guess bluff the entire time, and I have no idea why I changed my mind. I think it's because I thought you were going to try to trick me because of the last episode. So then I reverse psychologied myself, and then, yeah, I got it wrong.
Yeah, I think Stephen just got you.
Steve. How did you come up with that?
Well, I actually had a bit of inspiration from King Joffrey from in Game of Thrones,
Oh,
who I'm sure
never seen it.
I know you haven't. Sydney, for those listening, Sydney's never seen any movies and most TV shows.
That's, well, yeah.
It's Friends in The Office and sometimes
How I
Parks and
Met Your
Rec.
Mother.
Oh, and How I Met Your Mother. Oh, and New Girl.
Oh,
Can't forget
I love
New
New Girl, yeah.
I'm sure George R. R. Martin used some historical kings to draw from to make King Joffrey. He was pretty psychotic, and there's a lot of psychotic kings in the medieval times.
So you just made all of that up. Scary, killing stuff with children dying.
Well,
right before I'm about to go to bed.
well,
I'm mad at you.
I did choose real people from Hungary in the 1100s to fit my story into. King Koloman was real.
Okay.
His last name was not Bjorn.
Okay.
He was married to Felicia of Sicily. She was real.
I was thinking you used a name generator at the beginning. I knew at the beginning that you made this up. Why did I not go with my gut?
But those are real names. I didn't
I
make those
know,
names
but
up.
I just had a feeling.
Sophia and Stephen II were real. So was Uncle Almus.
So Stephen was a real name.
Stephen was a real name.
Was he a saint?
Stephen I was a saint.
Oh.
That was real. I did do some extensive research on medieval life in Hungary.
Okay.
I had to make it sound real. Everything else, however, I made up. Heinrich Beorn, completely made up.
God dang it. Gosh dang it. You don't cuss in this podcast. Why did you think of people hanging from the castle for
It
days
just-
on end and then a freaking guy coming to see that and
Okay.
blood and children and hanging. And your mind
I'm
is not good.
I'm
You
sorry.
need to go get some help.
No, that was Heinrich. It wasn't me.
No, that was you because you were Heinrich. Because you wrote him.
That's kind of what I do.
Just like in your books, in your Silver Ridge series, there's some stuff in there that I'm like, why would you think of this? It's very disturbing.
Sunrise over Silver Ridge, Western. Everybody.
Available on Amazon.
So what are your final thoughts, Sid?
I'm mad at you. I'm mad at myself. I knew. Oh, I had a feeling that it was made up, but you were so convincing. And
What
that was
was
a
it?
really good story.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe you should write a book.
Maybe I'll use it. What besides Steven made you think it was fake?
I don't know.
Steven and Felicia.
Yeah, those were weird names
But
for that time.
The weirdest names are usually the real ones.
Yeah, those were real.
I know.
Yeah, so what I thought was fake was actually real. Yeah, I don't know. That was really good, though. That was really good storytelling.
Thanks,
and
babe.
good writer. Good writing. Oh, I'm excited to see what you do next. I'm going to get it right next time.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Should we keep a tally throughout this whole
I
podcast?
think we should. I think we should.
Okay. Do we get a prize? If I get more right, do I get something? Or if I get more wrong, do you get something?
I like that.
Okay.
Should we go like first to 10?
Sure.
And then okay, first to 10, then you get a reward.
Okay. What kind of reward?
That's not for the podcast.
Anyways, that's why I know you're going to be really good at this because you're super convincing and
I was worried
you're
after
a really good writer.
I was worried after the first episode because you got it right. I was like, shoot, she's gonna guess it.
Okay, but I only guessed based on the fact that I knew that you would do a real one for the first one.
Yeah, I should have
know
fooled
you.
you.
Yeah, I know.
Well, I fooled you this time.
Darn it. Well, that wraps up another episode for us. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and follow us on Instagram at History Buffs or Bluffs Pod.
And if you have an idea for an obscure or crazy event in history that you'd like us to do, you can email it to me at historybuffsorbluffs@gmail.com.
Or if we have some writers who are listening, maybe make up your own story.
That works too.
Send it in. We'll see.
I'll plug you at the end.
Thanks for joining us again. Check out our next episode. Help me find out if it'll be a history buff
Or bluff.
Have a good week.